Okay, well, in case you've been living under a rock, and even if you have been living under a rock, Charlie Kirk was assassinated yesterday. I say that because I've been living under a rock, and even I know about it. I have these total media blackouts in my house for months at a time. So who is Charlie Kirk? He was a famous YouTuber, to put it simply. He would go around giving these speeches, and his message was, he had a lot of messages, but his message was, we need equality of opportunity. Equality of outcome is not equality of opportunity because it favors a particular group. This message obviously pissed a lot of people off because, in the words of R.C. Sproul, no one wants equality. Equality is like kissing your sister. Everyone wants one up on everyone else. So you'll get a pretty good idea of who Charlie Kirk was if you watch the recent interview between him and Jordan Peterson, which I watched, I think the day it came out. Full disclosure, I'm not a Charlie Kirk fan. I don't agree with a lot of his stuff. I never particularly liked his speeches or the way that he engaged in debate. I thought it was more agitating than helpful, but nonetheless, I do support his message of equality. I think we need more equality, of course. And what happened is obviously an enormous tragedy. I think that goes without saying. So I'm sure that Charlie Kirk's assassination is being talked about ad nauseum, but I'm going to talk about it because I'm a registered independent, and I literally wrote the book on questioning things. It's called Question Things. No surprise. I obtained the copyright for Question Things because I think so strongly about thinking independently and with a sober mind. This is another case of tribalism. Our natural human tendency to be tribal, to align with a group and suspend rational thinking, and to sacrifice the good of the community for the good of our group. Examples of this are political parties, religions, iPhone versus Samsung, etc. Basically, it's where we stop thinking and start feeling. So when I heard about this, the first thing I thought of was my Homeland Security class. One of the textbooks we had was in my Homeland Security degree was criminal justice. I think it was in the criminal justice textbook that the entire book aimed to paint this picture that most domestic terrorism is right-leaning, most if not all, in fact. And the professor at the time, she was lecturing on the previous chapter, domestic terrorism. During her lecture, she mentioned that all domestic terrorism in the United States is right-wing. And people were quick to point out in the class that that's not the case because there are other terror groups like the Weather Underground. I think it was Weather Underground, the group that was blowing up police stations. I think that was the one that had the organizer who was who mentored Hillary Clinton, but you'll need to fact check me on that. But in either case, to her credit, she agreed, and I was like, okay, I stand corrected. But the point I'm making is that that textbook clearly didn't age well, did it? For one thing, we found out, I mean, as if we needed to find out, that this supposed right-wing terrorism that is running rampant in the United States, first of all, neo-Nazis, or Nazis in general, of any kind, are not conservatives. By definition, a Nazi is the opposite of a conservative. But the news and the media and Netflix and all these things are pushing this new idea onto us that that Nazis are Republicans, because anytime there's an incident involving these Nazi groups, they want that to be a mark on what they view as the other team, not their team. Which is completely false, by the way. I mean, of course, I hope you realize by now that there are no teams, we're just people. But again, that textbook clearly didn't age well. I hope that Delaware Technical Community College is no longer using that textbook after we found out that a lot of these extremist groups are really supported by government organizations. Some of them are organized by government organizations. I think the FBI played a role in organizing some of these neo-Nazi groups. It's just really, really bad stuff. Then we have the school shootings by these self-professed left-leaning people. The people who carry out these acts are neither left nor right in my view, so I call them self-professed left-leaning. But nonetheless, we have school shootings, we have the club or bar shootings by the transvestite guy, and the 2 assassination attempts on the president, with half the country applauding them, by the way, and the terror attacks on Tesla, the terror attacks on Doge, the list goes on. So I don't know if there's an even number of wackos on the left and right. I have no idea. I don't really care. But the fact remains is that there are violent people in the world, and I'm all but certain you can find it on both sides of the fictitious aisle. Because again, there are no sides, there are no teams. It's really just a construct made up by people who aim to divide us. And by the way, the Elon Musk thing would be the most perplexing thing I've ever experienced had I not already written about tribalism. I never thought I'd see the day when even just an attempt to reduce government waste would be hated by so many people, like half the country. But if you've read anything that I've written, you'll know that I'm obviously not surprised. But propaganda geniuses fooled half the country into thinking that millions of essential employees were going to be fired and all global philanthropy would end. And when that turned out to be a lie created by the media, well, people still continued to believe it because of teams, tribalism. Musk is on another team, or so they were told by their coworkers, friends, media, Twitter, whatever. Again, we're feeling, not thinking. And that is the goal of most propaganda and tribalism and cult leaders and everything like that. That's exactly where the propagandists want us, divided, because divided we're weak. So Charlie Kirk was assassinated. They'll catch the person who did it. It'll be a man. He'll either kill himself or go to jail. I've watched a number of people, though, videos of people saying this changes everything. It doesn't. I've watched a lot of people say we have to do something about this. They won't. I'm only 40 and I've seen this sort of thing happen so many times already that I know that it'll be business as usual soon. So although I didn't particularly care for Charlie Kirk's speeches, this is nonetheless an enormous tragedy. He was a father, a husband. What's also tragic is that I'm not surprised. I see how dumb people are every day. I see the idiots on Facebook and their posts. I see them reposting news that is incredibly fake. It has like not a shred of truth to it. It's very clear to me, as someone who used to author propaganda, it's very clear to me that propaganda is out there and that it works. Their goal is to get people to hate Trump more than they love the country, and they've succeeded. You turn on the news, it's full of lies, stated as fact. You turn on one program, Trump can't do anything right. You turn on another, he can't do anything wrong, but they're both full of shit. So the question I leave you with today is it going to get better or worse, or stay the same, or something else? I don't want to give you a false trichotomy. Has it always been the same throughout human history? Has it always been the case that there's one psychopath in every 1,000 people or something like that? But let's talk about it. Because this act yesterday was an act of terror. The definition of terror is the unlawful use of violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. So this was an attack on our First Amendment right to free speech. And if you know anything about me, you know that I believe the First Amendment is our right to question things. But so many people believe you can say whatever you want as long as you agree with me. And by the way, all this reminds me of something I heard David White say once. You know that you're mature when you understand the feeling of this message from the poet David White. He's an excellent writer who said that as he got older, the more he realized that a person's beliefs are the least interesting parts of them. And he was right. If you don't know what that means, wait until you're older. And if you are old and you don't feel the significance of that statement, read my last book. Sorry for plugging that. But until next time, continue to exercise your First Amendment right to question things, especially yourself.